Hi, everybody. This is Sonia Buchanan. I want to come to you today and talk about something that's very important. It's something sensitive to my heart, and that is the importance of ministry. Yes, the importance of ministry. I was going through some photos this morning, and I was trying to consolidate all my photos, and I came across this photo. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. I came across this photo of these two guys. And when I saw the photo, it brought this warmth in my heart, and I started getting teary-eyed. And I started thinking about the ministries in which I met them. And when I started thinking about the ministry, I started getting teary-eyed again, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know. And I want to come to you and talk to you about why that ministry was so important and why ministry is important. And then first, let me tell you, when I was 16 years old, when I joined a church, and that church name is Chapel Hill Harvester Church, and with Bishop Earl Polk. Now, the church no longer is in existence, and the bishop has gone on to be with the Lord. But when I was 16 years old, I joined the church, and the structure of the church, and it just blew me away because I came from a Baptist background. But when I joined, immediately it was set up where you had the elder, the senior elder, the pastor, and the bishop. And the senior elder, you would have maybe five elders underneath the senior elder. So whenever you join the church, immediately the elders will grab the people who are going to be a part of their church, a part of their covenant. And it was amazing how it was structured. And so it was the elders, which 5 elders underneath one senior elder, and then you have the pastor and then the bishop. There was 14 pastors. So if there was 14 pastors, that means they had 14 senior elders, and then underneath the senior elders, there was 5 elders underneath that. So every Saturday, we would gather together at a person's house, and we would have Bible study. And that was amazing. We would have Bible study, and we would pray, and we would come together, and we would pray about things that the young people we dealt with, you know, for our schools and our parents, or anything like sickness. We would just pray about everything, and we gathered together on a Saturday. And after the Bible study and after covenant community, we will probably go and have fun. You know, go skating, go to the mountains, go to Six Flags, whatever we did. We spent the entire Saturday with our elder. And, you know, it was amazing. And each month, we would all gather together at the senior elder's house. So you would have the senior elders with his 5 elders, and then however many people that was underneath each elders, we were all gathered at the senior elder's home. We would just have a cookout. We would have Bible study. We would have fellowship. We were never left alone. I'm telling you, never left alone. In fact, this is how the structure of the church was so wonderful. I never knew who my pastor was. I knew who the bishop was, but I never had to go to the pastor because my elder and my senior elders was always there. We had access to them, and it was amazing. But the way the church was just set up, it was just really great. And I'm going to talk to you about why I am emphasizing that. And on Mondays, every Mondays, they used to gather together, and it was called Alpha. And Alpha on Mondays was for the young people. So all these high schools, young people, we would all gather together, and we would have this like musical concert, you know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the people named that back in the day. But we would have this concert, and all these young people, we were jumping around. It was like Alpha, you know, on Monday nights. That was beautiful because that gave the young people a chance to bring other young people to Alpha. And it wasn't, you know, like really religious kind of. It was like fun. We get to like rock and just dance and just have a great time. And it was just our night. But it's amazing. But it's amazing how that church was functioning, and I loved it. And I was so excited by bringing other people. I brought in so many young people there that they wasn't a part of my group. That was amazing. I'm bringing them here, and they in another group. Nevertheless, but they stayed at the church, and we saw run into each other when we had the massive covenant community at the church. Probably maybe once every 3 months, we'll have a massive covenant community with all the pastors and then all the senior elders and all the elders and all the people that was underneath each elder, each senior elder. And it was such a beautiful thing. You were accepted. I remember I used to talk a lot. I used to get up, and they always want you to interact, and they would just, sporadically give people the mic, talk about your week, and I was like, oh my God, this is where it broke my shyness in talking to people. But they made you so comfortable that you didn't mind because everybody accepted everybody. And there was nobody perfect, but we all gathered together as a family, and that was amazing. And how I met these two guys, well, this is Greg, and this is Mark. Well, Greg, one day we was having a monthly covenant community at Stone Mountain, on top of the mountain. And I met Greg there, and we were standing there together, and we hit it off just fine. We became very good friends. And one day we were sitting together at church, and I looked up at this cameraman, the cameraman, Mark. He ran the camera at the church. And I said, Greg, who is this guy? He said, oh, that's Mark. That's my friend. That's my buddy. We hang out. I said, oh my God, really? So that later that Sunday night, I was invited to go to Shoney's with them because that's what we did. We would go out to eat afterward. I spent so much time with them. They were my friends. And I got a chance to meet Mark. Oh my God. And all three of us became very great friends. We were like best friends. When you saw one, you saw the other. We were just such a support team with each other. But when we all went through things, we all showed up together. Mark, he was dealing with a lot of emotional things. And Greg, he was manic depressive. So he would have these little episodes where he thought he was Superman in some moments. We were like, oh my God, here we go again, And we never judged each other. We just kind of laughed at the moment and just say, okay, we'll pray about it. But we stood there together. And we just stood there together. Whether it was an all-night thing or whether it was an all-day thing, we just stood together. And I remember I was going through some things. And I remember one day Greg called and he says, I was at work. He says, hey, I'm making lunch for you. You come on over during your lunchtime. And he is like making this 5-course meal and I have an hour for lunch. That's the kind of friendship that they were to me and I were to them. But the church gathered us together. And like I said, the church was a beautiful place. And I'm going to say something to emphasize a little bit more about the structure of the church. We decided at one point to have Bible studies in the mornings at school. And so my senior elder came over to the school and talked to the principal to see if we could do that. And we did. But there were so many of us who dealt with suicide. And I had a friend who was dealing with suicide. She was having a lot of emotional things at home. And she cut herself at school. She came looking for me and she wasn't able to find me, but one of the school kids asked, she says, such and such is looking for you. I knew immediately she tried to commit suicide. And I went looking for her, and she was in the bathroom, laid out on the floor. Blood is everywhere. And I immediately called my senior elder, Gino Zayonato. And I said, Gino, I said, Alicia, she tried to commit suicide. Please come to the school. She's lying on the floor. I don't know what to do. I called him before I even went and got the principal because that was the first thing I could think of is, you guys get to the school. We need you. And immediately Gino, he was there with some other pastors, other senior elders. And then I went and got my principals and we called the ambulance. And, but I can tell you this, the church never left her side. The school, her group never left aside. She wasn't even part of my group, but she was never left aside. And we built her back up, and we stayed close to her. But today she has 5 kids, 6 grandkids, and we talk about this all the time. I cannot reveal her name because she doesn't want anybody to know, but it is amazing. I have so many different stories to say about how beautiful the structure of this church was and how many it saved. I want to go and just talk about, there was one incident where I went to school with this guy. And yes, he was a guy who always brought in drugs. I don't know. He was probably smoking dope. I don't know. But for some reason, he always say, okay, cover me. I said, okay, I'm like naive. But one day I invited him to Alpha one Monday night. He joined the church that night. And he was no longer, like this drug dealer at school. I cannot believe I'm telling you this. But he joined Alpha. He joined Chapel Hill. He later uh, got saved. He went to the Army. Now he's a police officer under the drug trafficking. Can you believe that? But the way this, like I said, the way the church is structured, it was so easy and it was so love and it was so beautiful how we were able to just enjoy being young people and just enjoy dealing with the cycles of emotional issues. And it was never looked upon as negativity. I know the kids today have a different kind of structure because we have internet. But I don't think so. I think it's still the same thing. It's the love and the group gathering. So I just wanted to talk about that, the importance of ministry, the importance of ministry, and the importance of a covenant community, how it could change a person's life by the in-depth of love and by the in-depth of structure and by the in-depth of not being judgmental, but just loving. That's what I want to talk about. And I know this video is very long and I don't mean for it to be long, but I just wanted to just share my heart and how important ministry is. So you guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.